I think it's really important to talk about the fact that the church is messy. I mean, every person in the church, including all of the leaders, are people in the middle of their own sanctification. Now, that means that God has chosen for us to be justified and instant, sanctified throughout the whole span of our lives. That means there's sin still inside of us that's being progressively eradicated, and so the church is a gathering of unfinished people. You know, there's so much conversation about the mess that the church is in, and I want to say it's a miracle that this group of people could ever get together and anything positive would happen. It's a miracle of God's grace.
Yeah.
Because loving broken people is counterintuitive. It's not natural for us. Being patient is not natural for us. Serving somebody when you'd like to be served is not natural. It's all of that stuff is the operation of God's enabling and restraining grace, and I want to say that the mess is God's mess, because that mess is meant to drive us out of our independence, out of our pride, toward Him. I love what it says in 2 Corinthians 4. We have this treasure in jars of clay. A jar of clay is not a strength metaphor. It's a weakness metaphor. You drop a jar of clay, it's going to break. That's so that it's to demonstrate that the all-surpassing power is from God. And then he says, as if we didn't get the point, and not from us. So if the power is not from us, this is so important to say, weakness is the plan. Weakness is not in the way of God's plan. Weakness is the plan, because that weakness continues to drive us outside of ourselves toward our Savior, and also toward interdependent community with one another.
It doesn't feel like the Christian community very often. It doesn't. It's like behave, be good, act a certain way, be strong, not weak.
Well, it's do more, try harder.
Yeah.
Perform.
Perform. Cover your inadequacies. Act like you're strong. I remember I early in ministry, in preaching, told a story about my own weakness, and an older person in ministry confronted me and said, "Don't ever do that."
Get scolded.
That he even said that makes a mockery of the gospel. And that was so disheartening to me.
Sure.
Now, I know what I'm preaching. I could sense the people sitting in front of me that was encouraging to them. And I didn't leave the story with my weakness, but of a faithful Lord who meets me in my weaknesses. I have hope today.
Yeah.
Not because I'm strong, but because Jesus exists and He's my Savior.
Yeah.
So that there are moments when it's almost impossible to evaluate your church experience, because how much of this is your mess and how much of it is the mess around you.
Yeah.
And yeah,